Hey guys, what's up? It's MrCrayfish and welcome back to my modding tutorials. In this tutorial today, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to add... Oh god, what happened there? Ugh. Burp came out mid-sentence. I'm going to be teaching you guys how to add custom items into the game. Now before we do start, I've got a couple things that I want to talk about in relation to this series. Now, I'm going to be starting a Patreon page. Now, this isn't currently live at the moment, but it will be soon. And if it's not live by the time this video is up, just give it a few days and then it will probably be up. Now, why I've created this page is probably two reasons. It's going to keep me a whole lot more motivated to keep finishing this series, because I know you guys in the last two videos have said don't end this series, so it's going to keep me a whole lot more motivated. And also I want to be able to create the best tutorials out there. Like as new versions of Minecraft come out, a lot of code and those tutorials become outdated. Now I'm keeping this really simple, and what I mean by that is that I only have one reward here, which is for $1 or more per month. So if you donate at least $1, you're going to gain access to the source code for all my modding tutorials, and also the ability to download the tutorials for offline use. Maybe for some reason you need to download them and view them offline. You can do that by pledging at least $1. Now I can't stop you pledging more. I just want to let you know that any amount is greatly appreciated, even if it is just $1. So it's just got a bunch of description here. Who is MrCrayfish? Why did I create this page? Just basically saying the stuff I just said just then. But seriously, if you guys enjoyed these modding tutorials, it'd be awesome if you could come over here. Any amount is greatly appreciated, as I've already said. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I want to keep it simple. Plain as that. So let's go ahead and let's start adding in our custom items now. So the first thing that we're going to do before we do anything is set up our assets folder, because we haven't done that yet. So let's go ahead, right click on resources here, new, package, and then we're going to type in assets dot, and then your mod ID, which ours is CTM. We're going to press finish here, and then we're going to right click on this again. So right click on assets.ctm new, package, and then we're going to do after that dot lang. So this is where all our the names for our items are going to go into. We're going to right click on assets.ctm again. We're going to do another one. We're going to call this models. We're going to do that again, and then this one's going to be dot textures. On the textures package here, we're going to right click that, new, package, and then type items at the end, and then right click on the assets.ctm.models and do new, package, .item. Now it does look a little bit unorganized with all these packages here. What we're going to do to make this look a little bit better is go to this view menu here, go to package presentation, and go to hierarchical, and this is going to basically make it a much more nicer tree structure. As you can see, everything is under this assets.ctm package here, and we've got the lang, the models item, and the textures items folders here. So we'll leave that where it is now. We'll get back to that later on. What we're going to do now is start doing some coding. So we're going to go into our coding package here. So it should, because we changed that view menu now, it is all now under this tutorial package here. So we got our proxy package, our reference, and our tutorial mod class here. We're going to create two new packages, and those are going to be, so we're going to right click on the tutorial package here, new package. So the first one is going to be items, and then the second one, so new package, is just going to be init. So for everything to do with the initialization is going to be in this package. Everything to do with items is going to be in this one here. So we're going to right click on the initialization package here, new class, and we're going to call this mod items. And here we're going to do everything related to initializing items, so such as initializing the object, registering it with Forge, and then also registering the render for the inventory. So we need to create 4 methods here to do those things. So the first one is going to be a public static void init. So this is going to initialize the object. We're going to have another one called public static void register. So this is going to register the item into the game. The next one is going to be public static void register renders, and this is going to contain all the calls for registering the render for each item, and that method we're going to be calling inside of there is going to be a private method, private static void register render, and then we're going to put in a parameter here called item. So this item here is the item object that Minecraft uses, and then name that item. Now make sure we import the correct item object here. So it should be this one where it says import item net.minecraft.item. Click on that, and we're ready to start adding our custom items in now. So let's go ahead, and what we're going to do is at the top of the class here, we're going to type in, so to start every item we start with public static item and then the name of our item. So I'm going to be adding in cheese, so type in that, then semicolon at the end here. In the initialization method here, we're going to do cheese equals new item cheese, and then just do that, semicolon at the end. Now we haven't created this class yet, so what we're going to do is come over to our package explorer here, right click on items, new class, and then type in item cheese, and then for the superclass here we're going to type in net.minecraft.item.item, so something like that. Press finish, and then we need to create a constructor as well. So if you press Control space and then just press enter, it should automatically generate it like so, or you can just type it out if you want to. Now we're going to go to our reference class here, and we're going to create something called an enum. Now I'm sure you've heard of it if you know about Java, but it's a way to create predefined constants in your code. So we're just going to type public static, we're going to call this tutorial items, actually public static enum, whoopsie my bad, public static enum tutorial items, and then do a curly bracket at the end there. Then what we're going to do is simply type in cheese in capitals, and then we need to create basically a constructor for this. So we're going to type in tutorial items, and then we're going to take in 2 parameters here called string unlocalized name, and the second one is going to be a string registry name. Then make sure we have those variables created up here. So we're going to do a private string unlocalized name, and then another one called private string registry name, and then simply do this dot unlocalized name equals unlocalized name, and then do the same for the other one, registry name. Pretty common constructor kind of convention there. Now we need to give this some parameters. So the first one is going to be our unlocalized name, so we're simply just going to do lowercase cheese, and it's best to just copy this variable name here and then put that inside of the quotations there. And then for the second one is the registry name, so we're actually going to use our class name here, which is item cheese, and then pop that into there as our second parameter. Now we need to create some getters real quickly, so if we just do control space get registry name, it will automatically generate, and we also need to do the unlocalized name. So there we go, we got some getter methods. Actually, we'll put that back like that to keep the formatting the same. Now head back into your item cheese class here, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to get this string and that string there for some methods here. So the first one is set unlocalized name, then we're going to do reference dot tutorial items dot cheese dot get unlocalized name, and then we need to do set registry name, because this is a new thing in Minecraft 1.9 that you now have to do. I'm not exactly sure what it's for, but you just do it anyway. So we're going to get the we'll get the registry name there by reference tutorial items.cheese and then .get registry name. Now come back to your mod items class here, and we're going to import this in. So highlight over it and it should already come up, item.cheese. In the register method here, we're going to type in game registry.register and then put in our cheese object. In register renders here, what we're going to do is type in register render and then just pass in our cheese object, and that's calling this method down here, which is going to register our render. Now there's no code in it at the moment. What we've actually got to do is call basically register the model resource location for this item. And what I mean by that, we need to tell it where in our assets folder we're going to be looking for this item. So minecraft.get minecraft.get item get render item dot get item model mesher dot register, and we want to select this second method here, which has the item and the metadata and the resource location parameters. For the first parameter here, we simply just want to put this parameter from up here as the first argument. For meta here, we're going to type in 0, and then for location here, we're going to do new, and then we're going to put in model resource location. We're going to select this third constructor here, which takes in 2 strings. So the first string is going to be reference dot mod id plus colon, and then after that we're going to do another plus item dot get unlocalized name dot substring 5. And then for the second here is simply we're going to put in a string here called inventory. So that just tells it that this model resource location is an inventory render, and then it will search the appropriate folders to find that inventory render. Now we haven't actually done anything. Now if we started up our game now, this wouldn't do anything. We've actually got to call these methods, and that's why in our tutorial class here we've got these initialization methods when we start up our game. So under here we're going to simply type in mod items dot initialize and then mod items dot register. Now we've actually got to call let's go back to here. We've got to call this register renders method here, but we don't want to call this for both server and client side, because if we called this on the on the server side, it's actually going to give you an error saying a class cannot be found, and I'm not sure if it actually crashes the game or not. It might actually crash your server if you did try to load it. So that's why we created these things called proxies, because it allows you to run code on either the client or the server side. So we only want to call that method on the client side. Now we actually haven't got any methods inside of this, so we need to create that now. So go into our common proxy here, and we're going to create well, this is an interface, so we just need to do public void init and then just do brackets and then colon at the end here, and now our client and our server proxy have to implement those methods. So do that, implement the methods, and now we're probably not going to be using this one for anything, so I'm just going to put that back onto one line like so. But go back into the client proxy here, and we're simply going to do mod items dot register renders. So now this is only called on the client side and won't give you any crash if you tried to load this mod on a server. Now go back to your tutorial class, or your mod class and we actually need to call that method in the proxy. So we simply just reference our proxy variable up here and then do dot initialization, or init. Now it might be a little confusing, like, because this here isn't initialized anywhere. We're not saying like proxy equals new client proxy or anything like that. That is actually handled by Forge, and that's why we've got this annotation tag up here. So what happens when this is run on a client is it will initialize this here as the client side proxy class, so that's why we give it the location to it. If it's on a server class, on the server side, it will initialize it as the server proxy, and then whatever it is, we don't know what it is here exactly. It could be either. We just simply call it initialization method because we've got a common proxy here, and then we're just using polymorphism because we can initialize this as a client proxy, even though it is a common proxy here. It's defined as a common proxy, but we can initialize it as that because we've implemented it. Now, if we're lucky, if we go ahead and we run the game now, so press the play button at the top here, our item should be added into the game minus the, let's just delete that, minus the whole model for it because we haven't registered, we actually haven't defined that in the assets yet, so it's going to give us some purple and block item as you'll see in a second here, but even though it's that, it means our item has actually been successfully registered. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go into our command line here, do give, and then tab just to get our current name here, so we're player 938. Then we're going to type in our mod ID, which is CTM, do a colon, and then after that press tab and it will autofill. So as you can see, we got item cheese here. Press enter on that, and boom. Look at that, we got our little item cheese here. So it's, yeah, obviously there's no model yet, and that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to quit the game, and then we're going to go into our resources here. So we created these folders here called lang, model.items, and then textures.items. So we're going to get our texture real quickly, and I've actually already created this already. So if we load up this here, cheese, so it's like a little cheese slice. I created this using paint.net. It's a free application you guys can download. I'll load it up here real quickly. But all you simply would want to do is go File, New, 16 by 16, create your item texture, whatever you want. So, oh, that's really awesome. I wonder how much time and effort you put into that. Then you want to go File, Save As, and then save it as a PNG file. Save it onto your desktop or wherever. You can give it transparency as well, so we don't actually need that white background. We can have it like that. So that's just a simple way you can create your textures. I'll put a link in the description so you can download that application. But as you can see, I've created like a little cheese slice here. So what we're going to do is copy that. So right click, copy. We're going to go into our working directory here. So this is the folder we created basically in the first tutorial. And my belly is going off right now. What is going on, belly? Calm down. I know I'm hungry. Go into source, main, resources, assets, your mod ID, which is mine is CTM, textures, items, and paste that in there. We're going to go back here and we're going to go into our models item, and then we're going to create a new file here, text document, and we're going to call this cheese.json as the file extension. Press yes. Now we're going to go back into Eclipse here, and we're actually going to put something into that. So go over to a package explorer here, go into model.items, and then we're going to here go open. I want to open it in this text editor here, so we don't have to open it in any external one. And inside of this file, what we're going to do is we're going to paste in some JSON code. I don't expect you guys to write this out because not even I write it out. I simply just copy it from my other model files that I've got, because there's no point. There's no point at all to rewrite it out every time. So I'll put a Pastebin down below which you can use and copy that out. Then you would want to paste this in here, and this is simply basically the structure you use to define your item model. So we're just saying use the built-in generated model file that Minecraft uses to render its items. Then we need to define the texture here. So we put our texture into items into the textures folder here, so cheese.png. So what we do to actually define that is inside of here we will type in our mod ID, which is CTM. Then we're going to type in items /cheese. Now we don't put the extension at the end, we simply just type in items.cheese. It already knows that it's looking for PNGs. And that is actually pretty much it. We'll go ahead, press save here. Then we actually got one last thing we need to do, and that is actually add a name to the item so it doesn't come up with a weird name in game. So we're going to right click on lang here, go new, untitled text file. Then what we're going to do is type in item.cheese.name equals, so cheese here is basically the unlocalized name that we set in our, well, if we go to reference here, it would be this one here. So copy that, go back to our document here, and then paste that in between the item dot and the dot name here. And then after that, do equals, make sure there's no spaces here, make sure the equal sign is right after name, and then we're going to type in cheese. We're going to press save here. Then what we need to do is actually specify a folder to save in. So drop down this, go to source, main, resources, assets, ctm, lang, and then name the file en underscore capital US dot lang. So this is the English language for the US. Press OK, and then you should notice in the package explorer under the lang folder here, we've now got en underscore US dot lang. And we go ahead and we run the game now. Hopefully it should have that texture, and it should also have the item named as cheese. Let's pray. And it looks like we've got an error, and I already just looked at the output there, and I think I know what the problem is. What we've got to do is the registry name is actually, we're going to change this here, cheese.json here, rename that to the registry name. So refactor, rename, and then just do item cheese instead. So boom. Okay, now something that might happen when you're actually modding, and it happens, I don't know why it happens in the Eclipse environment, but it just does. You'll get this message coming up saying variable references empty selection. If this does happen for you, what we're going to do is go into this here. You want to click this drop down menu next to the play button, go to run configurations. Over to the side here, you'll see we've got this client run configuration. You want to go to that, go to arguments here, and then you have this here called working directory. What we're going to do is click on file system, and you want to locate that folder we created on the desktop, which is our working directory. So if we scroll down here, we've got our folder here, which is modding tutorials. Then you simply want to click on that, drop it down, and then click on the run folder here, press OK, press apply, and then run, and then that error shouldn't come up again. I know it's kind of a little hacky and you shouldn't really do it, to be honest, but it works for me. Strange, it's got its name, but it hasn't got the texture. Maybe there was an error in the JSON. Let's just go ahead and make sure there isn't. Looks like everything's right. Okay, I think I know what the problem is. If we go back to our item.cheese, mod items here, we actually need to change around this here. So what we're going to do is, instead of typing in item.getUnlocalizedName.substring, we're going to type in item.getRegistryName, and then, okay, so I just figured it out. We actually need to just get rid of this reference.modID and this colon bit here, and just instead just have item.getRegistryName. Now if we go ahead and we run the code, or we run the game now, and hopefully now we should have our texture rendering correctly. And would you look at that? There it is. Hey, I got some cheese. You guys want some cheese? It looks pretty good, doesn't it? So there we have it, guys. That is how you add in a custom item into the game. What I'm going to do now is I'm simply just going to add in one more item because I need it for basically in future tutorials, and I thought maybe it would be good just to kind of remind you how to do everything. So if you want to add a new item, we simply just start creating a new one under our cheese here, and this is going to be cracker, and then we're going to do again new, or cracker equals new item cracker, register it, register the render, so under that, create the class. Constructor. Set the unlocalized name. In our reference, we need to create a new entry here for our cracker. Go back to your cracker class. Then pop in the unlocalized name and the registry name. Then import item cracker. Now we're going to copy our texture in again. So I've got cracker texture over here. We're going to copy that. Go into our working directory, source, main, resources, assets, mod ID, textures, items, paste that in there. We're going to go back to our models folder here, go into that. We're going to copy that and then just rename that to item cracker. Inside of it, we're just going to change around this here cheese to cracker. Close that off. We can close that off as well. Go back into Eclipse here. We're going to open up our lang file, text editor, then simply copy this line here, change that to cracker, and then this one here to cracker. Boom, done. Let's load up the game, and we should now have 2 items added. Then we're going to go ahead and let's give ourselves that cracker. So /give player3 830 CTM cracker. So we got our cheese and our cracker. So guys, that is going to end of this tutorial today. Make sure you go ahead, hit that like button. Also again, make sure you go ahead and check out the Patreon page and show a bit of support if you're interested, because it is going to help me motivated to keep this series going, and you also get access to the source code and the ability to download the tutorials offline if you'd like. And I'll see you guys for the next tutorial, which will most likely be blocks. So bye guys.